I suppose, I mean, it certainly has had an educational value, even for those of us who are aficionados, but maybe don't have the time to go researching stuff, you know. So, I mean, it's had a lot of good, I mean, I think it's much more subtle than that. It's not like, this isn't cans of beans where, you know, you have a sack of beans and a pile of tomatoes at one end and you have X tins of beans at the other. You know, it works in much more subtle ways than that. It has, it would have brought voices to Dublin that wouldn't otherwise be there, I suppose. It has, to a modest degree, and I would say this is the same with Seamus Cushliff as well, it has brought maybe instrumentalists and singers a tiny bit closer together, and maybe to the point where they would each group would respect what the other does, you know. And I was thinking today, you know, some musicians would kind of go, yeah, the songs go on for ages, and then I was kind of going, yeah, and how long is the average set of 3 reels? You know, that's got to be 15 minutes. What are they complaining about? Our songs are only about 5 or 7 minutes long, you know. So, you know, I suppose to that extent that has been important, maybe a modest but important thing to actually get to groups of people who, you know, traditionally it's really hard to get a song in the middle of a traditional music session. And traditionally, if you invite musicians to your singing session, that's the end of your singing session. And one thing that both has, you know, the concert on the Saturday night and then the sessions during Seamus Cushliff, they mix those two, you know, it's slightly more controlled, but they you know, begin to have a situation which is much more natural, really, which is where the singers sing, the players play, the dancers dance, and we all have respect for one another, and I think that's really important. There's always kind of interesting lectures during Frank Hart, which I have found really, really interesting, and they open up fields of questions, and you know, I think in a sense the thinking about songs is as important as the singing of them, because you won't sing them properly unless you've thought about them properly. And so from that point of view, those kind of lectures and stuff are really, really good. Bringing people together, that's actually where the magic happens. You get a lot of people in a room or in a building together, and then there's that communication via songs or via chat or whatever, where, you know, it is the start of exchanging songs. Or, oh, you love a song, you hear a song, somebody sings a song, have to have that song. You know, you might approach the person, you might feel it's better to go to the ITMA and look it up, you might do a Google search, whatever, you know. But that kind of getting people together, I think, is really, really important. That's because, I mean, it's great. We have our week. We're very, very lucky, you know. So Góilín, we have our week, a Friday night once a week. You know, you get together, some of the same people, and there'd be some people who come every so often, and that's fantastic. But to get other people in and kind of freshen the whole thing up is really good as well. And that's one of the things that Frank Hart does, and it's one of the things that Seamus Cushliff does. We cannot rely on sort of sitting around the fireplace and listening to our, you know, elders and betters anymore. It's just not in Dublin anyway. And I mean, in school, I was in a classroom the other day, and a child, second class child, came in on a message, and it transpired that she is a very good singer, and a teacher who's not her teacher, who's just a teacher in another class, had challenged her to learn Erera Ninos and Kehi. And she stood up in front of the Rangahane, and I think she nearly died when she realised the principal was in the room. God love her, like, if she only knew. But she sang it, and she had clearly, at the age of 8, done her very best to learn this song on her own, and had to be applauded for that. And she sang it. Her voice was beautiful. You know, nearly everything else, she needed help with nearly everything else. But I kind of then went, well, do I step in, and in a certain sense, that kind of delicate, you know, very delicate self-esteem that they have at that age, do I come in and, you know, basically shatter that by saying, oh, well, you know, very good, but you could do it better? Or am I just going to content myself with affirming what she's done so far? And I kind of went, right, this is a situation where I'm just going to affirm what she has done so far, because fair play to her for even trying to do it. And then maybe later I'll talk to Mum and say, oh, you know, here's a possibility for classes, or maybe she should come to this weekend. She might enjoy such and such a thing. But yeah, I mean, I think classes, there has to be some way of getting it out there. Is it regular weekly classes? Would monthly workshops work better? How do you go about setting that up? Where do you get the money to set that up? You know? But yeah, I mean, I think it might be something that could be looked at, definitely.
Yeah.